We can start.
Yes, yes, we
Oh, okay. So today we will be doing a session on data modeling, right? And the agenda will be, we will try to understand what data modeling is and also try to define a process that you can follow to do it. And we'll take an example, and through that example, we'll uh, try to design the data model together, right? So to start off with, what is data modeling? It's basically uh, any application that is there. It is going to be especially web applications and mobile apps. Uh, you are going to have data that is going to be if especially if it's a dynamic application where things are going to change continuously, there is interaction with users. You are going to be saving certain information that uh, about certain things in the application. For example, uh, if it's an e-commerce website, there is going to be information about customers, there is going to be information about products, there is going to be information about orders that have happened, shipping of orders, details about those orders, various other things that could be there, right? So that is the idea. How do you plan on saving that data, right? And how do you plan on structuring that data? That is what data modeling is. Okay. To do so, what are the important things that you should be thinking about when you are doing the modeling? Is you should be one thing that is important is the reason this modeling is important and this design is important is so that there is data integrity, right? Uh, at any point in time, your application should have valid data, and that data shouldn't be uh, it shouldn't be in a way that is corrupt, or doesn't make sense, or is you know not giving you the right information. For example, uh, if it's an e-commerce website again, there is going to be a customer. That customer is going to place orders to buy things. Uh, you cannot have, like, it cannot be a weird situation where the because a customer and order are related, right? An order is always placed by a customer, right? Uh, it cannot be structured or designed in a way where data is duplicated, and if data is duplicated, uh, one place, let's say for example, you have information about the customer, right? Where you save the name of the customer, and let me just quickly do one thing. Put this into a way that you will understand. Just a sec. And you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's say this is information about uh this is the data that you need to capture. Okay, okay. Some person called John living in Mumbai ordered an iPhone 12 on so and so date, right? And then the same person John enter ordered living in Mumbai ordered some headphones also, right? On the same date, right? This is the information that you want to be saving, and this is the information that you want to be having. Here you have your customer data, which is the name and address field, which is related to customer. You have product information, which is this product ordered, and you have this order information, which is this order data, right? To to ensure, so the reason you want to do data modeling is basically to ensure two things. One is data integrity is there, and your data that is saved is done in an efficient way, right? This clearly, if you save data like this, it's clearly not efficient because you are duplicating the name and address of the person every time, right? You are, and you will also duplicate the details about the product every time. And the other thing is, if something changes, like say you wanted to change the name of the person, right? Or details about the person, like say his address changed and he wanted to update it, you will have to update it everywhere, right? To make it consistent. So making the do to make to ensure that the data integrity remains, there's lots of work that you'll have to do, and you just wasting storage and all of that to do this, right? So that is the reason you would want to do data storage, data modeling, right? Now, the the way there is no set process in terms of how you should go about doing the data modeling. Okay, it's just something. There are standard people have suggested. Ki, okay, you can go about doing it like this. There is one thing that people do. Okay, and what they do is they follow this thing where they go from a general perspective about the data, and that they go all the way to the actual implementation and how the data is going to be physically saved, right? So when I say general perspective, so this is what this is like uh, a high level process for modeling. Okay, it's not like a set way various people, based on how their logical thought flows, uh, design it, go about it differently. This is just one way which a lot of people use, is to think about the data in a general perspective and then go into it deeper, getting into the details, and then deciding how it is actually going to be implemented and how it is going to be physically saved and things like that. Right. So when we say general perspective, you think about things that you want to save, right? So when I'm saying, let's go back to the e-commerce example again. General perspective, mein what you want to do, you want to think that, okay, what all do I want to save, right? So you'll think, okay, I want to, let's say for example, again e-commerce, right? Now in this e-commerce thing, from a general perspective, what all do you want to save? You want to be saving information about customers, right? So, okay, customer information is something that you want to be saving. Um, what else do you want to save? You want to save, let's say, product information, right? Then another thing you want to save is order information. Let's keep it at that, right? Okay, these are the three things that you want to be saving. This is what you want to be there. Uh, now, uh, now you start digging deeper, right? So then you say, okay, okay, for customer information, what all do I want to be saving? Or you want to be thinking about not only about what you want to be saving, but how are they related? You know, what are the relations between customer information, product information, order information, right? So you start thinking, yeah, okay, a customer gives an order, so an order cannot exist unless a customer exists, right? So customer and orders are linked. Then so basically you start thinking, okay, order and customers are linked. Then you can start thinking, okay, are there any other linkages? Okay, then obviously uh, when a customer gives an order, it's an order for products. So there will be products within an order that is placed. So there is products within an order, right? Right. So that's pretty much it, right? You can start with this, and then you can say, okay, now what is the different information that I want to save within a customer? right? What all do I want to save about the customer? If there are questions, just type it out. I will take a look at it like in the chat box. Okay. So if there are questions, type it out there. Uh, I will take a look at it and answer. So I'll give you like a bit right now. I'll pause. If the questions still what we've done right now, you can fire. Otherwise, I'll continue in a. No questions? Okay. Now, now we can start, you know, thinking a little bit more. Okay. Let's now think about. So the first thing that we're saying is customer information is something that we want to save, right? So let's say customer information. What all what all information do we want to really save about the customer, right? There is obviously th you guys can type in what if there are things that you want to contribute or want to say that okay we want to save this that whatever, or if you want me to uh, I'm using e-commerce because everyone's used it. It's easier to, it's like a very easy topic to get bring in and understand the example through this, how we should be going about doing this modeling. But if there is, and I've just taken it very high level, uh, the way you would go about doing this whole thing is you would look at your user flow and the features that you're going to build. So through when you build your information architecture user flow, okay, these are the features I'm going to build. So this information is required. These are the features that are there. I'm just looking at a very simplistic example where we are saying that there is an e-commerce website where there is a customer, uh, there is product information and order information. That's it, right? For now, we're only looking at that piece of it. There's not too much into it. So from a customer information perspective, what do we want to save? We want to save the name of the person of customer, right? And we want to, let's say, this e-commerce is not like your traditional B2C e-commerce, but this is like a B2B e-commerce website where it's a company portal, right? And they want to be they've created this e-commerce portal so that their business these other businesses can order from their portal, right? So so the customer information is name of the customer, which would be some company information, right? But other than just the company information, within the company there is going to be people in that, right? So we want to be knowing information about the purchasers in the company, right? Right. Then what do we want to be capturing? We want to be thinking about okay, address of the company, right? Now, since it's a company, could it be just one address? Could it be multiple addresses? It could be multiple addresses, right? So we can say it could be multiple addresses, right? Uh, any other information that you guys think we should be collecting about the uh, Customer using email, password, phone number, address. ठीक है, email password is something that you'd use for logging in or something like that. Email is something that you can have, right? Email is something you can have. But now when I'm saying the company is there, and within the company there are people who will do purchase on behalf of the company, right? So there could be a company email, but now there could be other things as well, right? There could be let's say phone number. I'll put phone number. That's fine. Let's say I wanted to give the system to another company. So within another company, not there's not only one purchase person. There are 10 purchase people, right? And the company could have people coming in, going out, so they should have some way of and who placed the order on behalf of the company. I want to be able to store this information also. That's why I have people information. So my username and password will be linked to the person in the company, not the company itself, right? So I still within this there will be, so when I'm saying information about, right? I do the same thing with product order, right? And then we looked at these linkages as well, how orders and customers are linked, how products within an order is linked, right? And so we'll do that there also. New slide, let's say product information, all right? So what all I want to know the name of the product. I want to be, let's say there is some SKU is like, standard what way of SKU. I want to have description about the product. I want to be having images of the product, right? I want to be uh, anything else that we can save up the product. We need to be saving, or because we're going to be selling it, we need price, uh, and we also need to know how much we have, right? So there is some way of knowing how many pieces we have of this product, right? Right. Anything else? What you guys think should be there? You guys can post questions, put comments in the chat, okay, and we'll discuss it, right? I think this is good enough for now, right? Uh, this this will also be there will be multiple images, right? Uh, and this is okay, right? Now we'll take in order information, right? What all is going to be within the order? Sorry, there's going to be customer who placed the order, right? There is going to be information about the products that were ordered, and the date of the order, right? Fine. Anything else? Category of type of the product, that's fine. Let's leave that out for now, right? So it's complex enough uh, uh, right now. Okay. Well, let's chalo. We'll keep it just in case. Category of product. That's part of the description also, right? Anyways, um, anything else that you guys think should be there in the order information? Address to be delivered. Okay. I have customer who placed the order, so within that, where he wants it to be delivered. Okay. Because we said customer will can have multiple addresses. When the customer who placed the order address with address where it is to be delivered. Okay. Let's keep it at that, right? So now we're saying the other thing that we had is we'd maintain these relations, right? So we said orders and customers are linked, products within an order, so hence order and products are linked. So for now we know that there is three things that I'm saying, right? We are going to draw something. So we'll draw. Oh, let's insert a shape. I'm gonna say we have missing customer, and we have this is linked to a order, right? So there is some linkage here. There is some linkage here, and then we're saying there is other than this there is products, and there is some linkage here, right? And then this is something that we can start off with, and then we're saying, okay, customer, we have company information, we have information of purchase people in the company. So within the company, there are also the, the actual users, right? Users or buyers, right? Who are within the company, because this is a B2B kind of yeah. So we're saying in our shapes, there is some linkage here, right? So users and buyers are within, I'm going to be within a customer. Okay, so when we're doing order information, customer who placed the order, we want two pieces of it. We want the company and the buyer within it, right? Within the company, right? That is the things that we want, right? So there is customer, buyer within that, and then we said in the customer information, what else is there? There is addresses, and this could be multiple, so there could be multiple. There is within this, there is also addresses, right? And they are also going to be multiple. Hence, they are also going to be within the customer. So within the customer, there is users, there is addresses, they all go within the customer. Customer places orders, and and order has multiple products in it, right? One order has multiple products in it. One order has multiple products in it. And to think about it, one product could be part of multiple orders as well. So this is like a many to many relation, whereas one one order is always like an order is always from one customer, but a customer could place multiple orders, right? So this linkage is one customer, multiple orders, but a single order is always one customer, right? One order can have multiple products, and one product could be part of multiple orders, right? So this relation is different from this relation here, right? This one is a order can only have one customer, right? Cannot be coming in from multiple customers. So this relation is a one to many relation where one customer can place multiple orders, hence one to many relation. Whereas an order can have multiple products and one product can be part of multiple orders. So this relation is a many to many relation, right? Addresses can only exist within a customer, right? Whereas one customer can have multiple addresses. So this relation is also many to many between customer and orders. Same thing with customer and user slash buyer, right? One customer can have multiple users and buyers, but one user slash buyer can only be within one customer or company, right? So when we're digging deep, we're thinking about these relations, we've drawn them down, and now we've got all of this information as well. So we can say that, uh, let's put that on another slide. We're thinking how they're related, right? We're getting deeper into that. We're saying one customer, multiple orders, right? One order, only one customer. So the relation, this relation, customer order is one is to many. So customer to order will do one is to n, right? This is the relation there. This is how it is. Any doubts till now on how you should be going about thinking about it? I'm not. There's no. So I'm taking this example and I'm just digging deep, and we'll go till the end where we have looked at where we're going to save, and whether it's going to be in a DB, whether it's going to be saved in a file, where it's going to be saved, and all of that, right? So if the questions, if you want to contribute anything, you want to say that, okay, can we do it here? Can we do this? And I've just taken this example and we're just going to dig deep, right? And I'm just showing you how I would go about thinking about what needs to be done, right? Obviously, because I'm thinking out loud, it's more verbose, right? Otherwise, it will be a much quicker process, right? Because of the experience I have. That's all. Why did we differentiate customer and user slash buys? Because we said this e-commerce website is not a B2C website, it's a B2B website where a company, let's say for example, this is a website where Tata, let's say there's a company that sells nuts and bolts, okay, and they are only selling wholesale, okay, so they are selling to other companies who want to buy nuts and bolts, right? So for the company who's selling nuts and bolts, the buyer is another company, correct? However, there are people working in a company, right? And because there are people working within a company uh, who are going to be part of the purchase team or buying team, right? We want to be, beside that, we want to be saving information about which company purchased, but not only that much, we also wanted to say which person within the company purchased, right? So hence, uh, we put two different structures. We said customer is the company and the user slash buyer is someone who's within the company, right? Clear? Hmm. So same thing with customer, and so I'm moving ahead. So same thing with customer and buyer. So customer and buyer, that's also one is to one. Same thing with customer and address. That is also one is to one. We discussed that. And then we're saying uh, order and product. That is also that is not one is to n. That is m is to n. Both are multiple, right? So it could be any integer m and could be any integer n, right? That's how they're related. Because one product could be part of multiple orders, right? Now let's look at product information. Product information, we said images could be multiple, right? So if images can be multiple, uh, to ensure that we are not having duplicate data being saved and things like that, we're thinking about there has to be one more thing called product images, and that is going to be within insert, and that is going to be within products, right? So product images are going to be within products, right? So that is also some relation there. We missed that out. Okay, huh? Fine. So we have product and PI. I'm going to say product images. And this is what kind of relation is this? You're saying one image, one product, but one product can have multiple images, right? So this is also 1 is to n relation, right? 1 is to n relation, where one product can have multiple images. So now write it down completely images, right? Make sense? Okay. Now, since we have all of this information and all of that, now you can think about how you want to be, what kind of, whether you want to be saving data in a database or not, right? Uh, you want to be saving today, most of the time, you're going to be saving data in a database, right? Because it's just easier, makes sense, you know, it's one of the de facto ways of doing things, right? Uh, but you could always save all this information in a file, right? And you could also be saving this information in uh, other things as well. Okay. Uh, but anyways, now we looked at this image and we'll high level we have an understanding of what information we want to save about a customer. There has to be also now, so now you can start thinking about, let's say, okay, now we know based on this, minimalistically, I'm gonna have one, two, three, four, five, six tables, so I have, right? If I'm thinking of saving all of this information into a database, right? Uh, Minimal six tables, so I have, right? Mm, and so now let's try, defining those tables, right? Uh, so first we're saying tables in my database. It's obvious these are the six tables in my database, right? For now, there is customer, there is user, there is address, there is order, there is products, and then there is product image, this image, right? This much though is there, right? Now I just say this is the customer table. What I want to be. I'm assuming you guys understand what primary key is, foreign key is when you're doing relational databases and things like that, right? I'm not going to get into details about those, right? Uh, but in case you have questions around that, you can post it in the chat. I'll take a look at it. So let's say this is the customer table. We are saying the data field, right? That we're going to be saving. Its type and any constraints that we might have. Okay. What I mean by constraints is let's look at the customer information, right? Constraints would be things like uh, there has to be a name, like the company has to have a name, right? Like it cannot just not have a name, right? Whereas you may not know, let's say in the company information, we're also saving date of incorporation of the company. You may not know this information, right? Because your or the customer, it's an optional field, the customer didn't fill it, right? So and this isn't really major information. It's just for you to have a better relation with your customer. But let's say the customer didn't fill it. It's not mandatory information, right? But name of customers mandatory. You want to have it and things like that. So a constraint would be that name of customer has to be there. Like it cannot be empty. Like that that field cannot be empty. However, date of incorporation, even if it's empty, you can put in a default value, right? Yeah, okay. Even if the customer doesn't put anything, I'll put in a default value, right? That is another type of constraint. So this is also a constraint that okay, if it's empty, I'll put in a default value. This is a constraint that I'm putting on a data, right? Because I just don't want it to be empty. Okay, I want it to be there. It's not compulsory with the customer to fill it, but I just don't want it to be empty, so I'll put in some default data. This is also a constraint. Uh, it has to be there. I don't have any default information, hence the customer only has to put it, right? That is a different kind of constraint, right? So this is what I mean by constraints, and you know, things like that. So one thing that people generally have is an ID for every data for every data that they're filling. They have a unique ID just so that they can identify that data individually, and that ID is generally, the primary key. And the constraint on that is what? It has to be unique, right? It has to be unique. And this could be integer type of data. So the first entry is one, second entry is two, something like that, right? And then I have the name of the company. Then we said phone number. Phone number could also be multiple, but for now we are saying there's only one phone number in the company, right? Let's keep it at that. We we also said there is an, what else do we have with the company? There's a date of incorporation, right? And customer. mm, yeah, that's fine. Anything else? Now, same thing you do with, let's, now the next thing we are saying is there is the user which is within customer, right? So let's say user table, same thing. I'm gonna start table, this is using field, this is the data type and constraint definition, right? So when I said this is unique, I'm also saying this is the primary key, right? So primary key is just the terminology used in the relational database management space for the for an ID which is unique and which will identify one entry within this table, right? So that we're saying user. So okay, user will have a name. You could break it down into first name, last name. Uh, Now this user cannot exist. So obviously ID is going to be there. So ID, again, I'm just saying this is primary key, this is unique, and this is also going to be some integer ID. Okay. Um, that is obviously a name, uh, and this is going to be characters, right? Um, and obviously a list of characters or a string, right? And the constraint is what? This cannot be empty, right? Be empty. So the way the SQL people write it is not null, right? And let's say this a user cannot exist without a customer. So this user has to be linked to a customer. So what we can do is we can say, okay, I'm gonna put in the customer name or whatever, right? But instead of doing that, that would be a crappy way of doing it, uh, because then the entire name would be duplicated, and you could just put all of this information here as well, but it's duplicated, breaks your data integrity constraint that you want to keep, that okay, my data needs to be designed in a way that data integrity is easier to maintain, and maintenance and storage requirements are lesser. So what you can do is you can say, okay, customer ID, right? This ID uniquely identifies one customer. So let me save the customer ID. And what is the constraint here? The constraint is this customer ID has to be present in customer table, right? It has to be the whatever value you put here, like whatever data is being entered for this field, has to be there has to be an entry here for it, correct? And when it has to be present in another table, the SQL terminology and the relationship database world terminology, it's called a foreign key. Okay, and the foreign key is to which table? The customer table. So this is how people write it, and then they short form it. So they write it as FK customer. So it's a foreign key to the customer table, and obviously within the customer table, this ID field, because that's the only unique field, right? So it has to be a field that is unique. So foreign key customer, and then if there are multiple unique fields, the way you write it is a foreign key to customer table and which field within that table, right? So the ID table. Okay. Now who is going to be logging into my system? The person who's going to be logging into my system is going to be this this user, right? Because every user is different. Okay, the user is within a company, but the person coming in and doing the orders and buying the products is this user, right? So I would want to give an email address and password to this person, right? So email slash username, whatever you want to keep as your, you can say email and then have username as well. You can have email here also, company email, whatever, a common email that the company has. You're saying this is the email of the person, and this itself is the username, or you could have a separate username, depends on how you want to do it. And obviously, there is password. Uh, any questions? All good? Okay. When did I register this customer? So generally people put in information like created at, you know, and then they want to put in information when it was modified. So modified at, and this is generally like a date and time field. So date and time. This is the type of data that is going to be there. Date and time where when it was created, when if in case I modify this information when it is going to be, when was the modification, when was the last modified, when was it last modified. And the constraint here is what? You don't want this to be empty. And what you can do is you can just say use the current time, right? So user doesn't need to fill this. The system can just use it is not null and default value is use current time. Here, every time data changes, you want to use the current time, right? And we update. Okay. So you can have the same, these two fields can be part of all tables, right? Because you want to, just for your logging purposes, for bookkeeping, you want to keep this information. So this could be part of all tables that we create, right? Mm, Fine. I'm not getting into how you should be saving your password. This is definitely doing it like this is not secure. because someone can just look into the database and see the password and all of that. This lesson is not about how to create a secure login system, right? So we're not going to be discussing the password field. Is just to give you a structure and give it that. Let's say I wanted to add a feature, okay, uh, and say that within a company, okay, within a customer, there is one type, there could be a user who is like a super user or an admin user, and that user could delete other users or add new users, right? So then I'm going to have a field here saying is admin, right? Which will be a boolean or something like that. It will effectively be by default, it will be false, right? So the default value is false. So by default, everyone is just a normal user. But if we set this user to be, an admin user, so he's an admin for the company, for the customer, and hence he could create other users and things like that. So this is a feature we wanted to give so we can do things like this, right? Uh, okay. Moving on, we said I'm just going to skip addresses, right? I'm going to go into orders, right? And products because that is something that is uh, mm, better. Like let's look at order information, right? Before order, let's look at products. So because orders require products, right? Okay, same thing. Let's just copy and paste this here. We have this. We want ID, obviously. We want a name of the product. Yeah. We don't need customer ID for sure. We don't have this. Let's look at the different things. We are saying what else are we saving about product? We made a list. We said SKU. Okay. Description, price, how many pieces we have of this product, and category of the product. Okay. So we have name, we have description, and SKU, we have what do we have? We have price, we have the and obviously created at all of that. We also said we have images in the product so that images would be a different table, right? Like how user was a different table, images would be a different table. And obviously an image is linked to a product, so the same foreign key concept will apply there as well, right? And that's it. Now let's look at order, right? And this is the tricky one because we said what? We said order and product have a many to many relation, right? And that's not good because we'll see why. So we're saying order information, right? Now we need to uh, say, let's paste this here. Uh, this here we're saying order has an ID, right? And within order, we also said order will have, we want to save information about which customer and which user within this customer, right? So ideally, we only need the user ID, right? We know, and from the user ID, we can figure out which customer, right? So here we can just have user ID, okay, and integer, and this is a foreign key to the user table, right? And now mm, order date, right? And now we want to save the product information. So one way to do it is we know there are multiple, but we can say कि boss 100 से ज़्यादा तो होंगे नहीं, or in one order there will be not more than 100 products. So let me just say okay, product one, then say product two, then say product three, and this could be a way of and go all till 100 and have so many fields, and then it could be empty if they wanted it to be empty, right? But then there is other information also, no, कि इस product का कितना quantity, so then I need product one, how much quantity, product two, how much quantity, so it becomes complex to keep. Okay, let's not do that. Let's say we we did it like this. We said okay, product ID and quantity, and let's say this is it. So now for every product in an order, there will be the same information. So now this cannot be unique, and then this doesn't become a primary key because the same order ID, I'll repeat. So basically what I'll do is I'll save it like this, right? Let me just, one way of doing it is saving the information like this. Let's just look at this information. Okay, really quickly. I'm saying what are we saving? We're saving ID. So ID. Then we're saving user ID. Okay. Forget about the date. We're saying product ID and quantity. So you're saying okay, we're not keeping the foreign primary key constraints. This will be one ordered by user one. The product was 2, right? And quantity was 10. And then we can say again, same order, same user, obviously. Product 3 was ordered and the quantity was 20, right? So this is, and then a new order came in, so we'll say, okay, order 2, ordered by user 3, product 4, quantity 10. And obviously, this will get repeated how many times depending on the number of products that are there that have been ordered. So this is another way of doing it, right? Make sense, right? But when we do it like this, there are problems. We can't uniquely identify a single row because there's no primary key now, right? We're not saying there's no, the constraint of primary key is removed, right? uh, we are definitely duplicating data, like the order ID, and then obviously there is going to be order date, all of this information, like order date will duplicate, ID will duplicate, user ID will duplicate for the same order, right? So that's duplicate data. If, sorry, any doubts? Okay. So what can we do? So what other options do we have? Anyone? But you, okay, ID, user ID and product ID can be primary key. However, you're still duplicating information. No? The same ID is going to, like the order ID is going to come multiple times, right? And everything else about the order date, like ship to, because order is also going to have ship to address, right? Uh, that will be duplicated uh, when the order was placed. And let's say there is a change, right? Let's say there is a change that someone wants to do, let's say to the ship to address, right? It'll be you're gonna have such a tough time maintaining uh, data integrity just because the ship to ad, let's say there are 40 items placed, like there's an order for 40 different items placed. The ship to address will have to be changed in every row, right? And in case you miss that, no, that's fine. You can make a primary key. Making a primary key is not the issue. The issue is not only कि primary key नहीं है. The issue is duplicate data, and because there's duplicate data, it could cause lack of data integrity, right? Let's say like the ship to address thing only. Let's say the order was placed for 40 different items and the ship to address was Washi, right? And now the customer made a request to change the ship to address to Kolava, right? You need to do that accurately for all 40 entries that are going to be there for that particular order ID, right? Otherwise, you're going to have inconsistent data, right? And if there's inconsistent data, there are going to be mistakes in the system, correct? Make sense? Yes, you'll have to change the address, and that's just doesn't make sense, right? Why are we saving the address 40 times when it's just one order? Just this is just stupid, right? Okay. And it could cause, and if I change it for 39 and forget to change it for 1, okay, because connection for various reasons, mistake in the code, connection with the DB went off, so while the changes were happening, suddenly the connection between the application server and the database server went off, so only 20 entries got changed and the remaining 20 didn't get changed, all of that could cause data integrity issues, correct? So what can we do to solve this? Any thoughts? No one? Okay. So the thing to do is because so you can think about this as a rule of thumb. Okay. If there is a many to many relation, okay, what you want to do is you want to get rid of this many to many relation, and in your design you want to have only one is to one or one is to many relations. If it's a one is to one relation, obviously it becomes a field within a table. If it's a one is to many relation, there is going to be one table with a foreign key with that. So what do you want to, how do you remove this many to many relation is you create another table. Okay. What you do is you say, ki, okay, I'm going to have the order table. I'm going to have the product table, but the order table is going to be linked to a table called order product map. Okay, and this relation I will ensure is going to be one order. This relation is going to be one is to many. Okay, fine. And I'm going to ensure, and then I'm going to create another relation between product and the same table order product map. I'm going to ensure this relation is also one is to many. Actually, it's going to be the other way around, right? So one entry in this order product map, uh, one entry in this, so it's going to be linked. It's going to be the same. Sorry, one entry, the same order could have multiple entries, right? So one entry is linked to only one particular order. So one entry in this order product map is going to be linked to only one particular order, right? But uh, the order can have multiple entries in the order product map. Okay, and the same thing here. One entry in the order product map is going to link to only one product, right? But but the product can be in multiple entries. Okay. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna say we're gonna get rid of so obviously we're gonna get rid of product ID from here completely. We're gonna get rid of quantity from here completely. Okay. We're gonna have ship to address, right? And we're gonna have when order was placed, obviously. So we're gonna have these two data points, right? And so my table now becomes ID, user ID. This goes. So this entire thing goes. So this is like now I'm just showing you what I'm gonna do. And then I'm gonna say, okay, let's say I'm just gonna keep address, date, right? Hmm. Order date and when order was placed, the same thing. So this is gone, right? So I'm saying user ID one. So order one was placed by user ID one. Ship to address was ship to address is also going to be a foreign key, right? Because this address has to be in the user address table mapping, right? It has to be in this address table, right? So this is also going to be a foreign key. So this is also, let's say, address one, and the date is what is today, 31st, right? 31st, 01, 21, right? So this is over here. It's also foreign key address. So I did this, and now what I'm gonna do is, and then my second order was 2, right? Order 2 placed by user ID 3. This is going to be shipped at address 5, and let's say the same date. So all this goes away, but now I don't have the information about the product that is ordered, and for that I created a new table called, what did I do? I created a new table called product. Oh, sorry, called order product map, right? And in this table, my fields are going to be have I'm gonna have what I'm gonna have. I'm gonna have the order ID, okay, which is an integer, and this is going to be a foreign key to the order table, right? I'm gonna have product ID, which is going to be a foreign key to the product table. Then I'm gonna have quantity, and let's say prices can change over time, so I can have price as well here. Okay, because the user could come into the product table and change the price later, right? But the price at which the person made the order, placed the order, that is saved here, right? Let's say this information is there. Now here, the combo of order ID and product ID becomes the becomes the primary key, right? But you are not duplicating order specific information, nor are you ever going to be duplicating product specific information. The only thing that you're going to have here is the order and the product and how it is mapped, right? Uh, and now, say for example, the user wanted to change the shipping address. We do it here. It's changed for all products that were ordered within that particular order. So just to give you an example of how the data would look, we would let's say what are the fields we have? Order ID, we have product ID, we have quantity, and we have the price. So the data would be order 1, product 1, quantity 10, let's say price was $100. So order 1 again, product 3, quantity 5, and this product is priced at 400, right? And I could have thousands of products within an order, doesn't matter, right? And for order 2, I have product that was ordered is 2, quantity 10, 100. Again, order ID 2, product 3 was ordered. Here the quantity was 2, price per quantity was 400, right? Yeah, any doubts? You guys got what I did here? How I changed this many to many relation by creating another, abstract relation between this and made it one is to many. So then this relation I because this relation was for the problem was because this relation was there, there was duplicate of data. And the minute you have duplicate of data, you run the risk of losing data integrity, right? And data maintainability, right? Uh, Hence, we wanted to get rid of this many to many relation. And to do this many to many relation change, to get rid of it, what we did was we uh, created this abstraction here, right? We said, okay, we're gonna have a new entity called order product map, and they are gonna be so order is going to be linked to order product map, product is going to be linked to order product map, and here we'll keep the relation 1 is to n, right? Fine, makes sense. Okay. Now this is about the data, and then assuming you're gonna save data into a relational database and things like that, right? You would go about doing same things for non-relational databases as well, right? Think about how data is structured, how you're gonna be able to arrange them, what your document is going to comprise, which document, how are you gonna, which document is going to have another embedded object into it or not, whatever, right? Uh, so that is the thing. There are certain things that you can do for improving maintenance at improving performance at the cost of uh, duplicate data and increasing the chance of data integrity. So it depends on what you want. So for example, in this order information, if I know always that every time I do the order, I'm gonna not only uh, need need information about the user, so but also of the customer of the company name. So here, if I wanted the company name from the order, what will I have to do? I have to first look up the user, right? And then from the user, look up the customer, and then from that, be able to get information about the customer, right? So it's like a double jump, correct? To avoid the double jump, okay, what I could do is, in, I have user ID here. I add a field, called what the hell? I have a field called customer ID as well. So I can basically come here. I can say why am I not being able to insert this thing? Anyways, I could come here and add a field called customer ID. Right now, obviously, uh, I'll have to put in constraints that okay, user ID, uh, this table के अंदर the customer ID, if whatever user ID I put, right, whatever user ID I put, uh, in this, and then in the user table, whatever the customer ID value is there, that same value should be here, right? And if it's not, then obviously I have data integrity issues and things like that. But now I can avoid that double jump, right? From so depending on what I'm gonna do more, and you could compromise a little bit on storage and data integrity to, make your system performance better and things like that, right? So it really depends. From a data integrity and design perspective, it's wrong because if your constraint, if your focus is no, I want to ensure that my data integrity remains and maintenance and all of that is simpler, this that. But if things are slow, you want to make it faster, this is one way of doing it, right? Now it doesn't just stop here. Okay, this we looked at the database, right? But there is certain other information, like let's look at the image table. Okay, what will the image table have? So there is this product image, right? So just this last thing, and then we're done. Okay. If we look at the image table, okay, and and so what are we going to keep store in the image table? Are we going to save the entire image? That is one thing that we could do, right? But relational databases are not meant to be saving, images and things like that. And they're not the best uh, place to do it. Plus, if I wanted, multiple, I wanted to resize the image and then show it to the customer and things like that. Saving a file as like the way to do it would be then I save the raw data into the this thing, like the binary data about the file, okay, into the database. Pull that out from the database, create a file, and then do manipulations on it. So just becomes too much work, right? And it's not efficient, obviously. Uh, s- Plus, you bloat out the database, you make it slow, things like that. Okay. So from a performance perspective, from a design perspective, you don't save raw files into the database. Okay. And that's what a file system is for. If you wanted to save files, why not just save it on a file system, right? So how are you going to save? What are you going to keep in this image table? You're going to keep, obviously, there's going to be an ID for the image because that's the primary key, right? And you're going to have the product ID. And maybe if you want, you're going to have a description about the image. And eventually, you're going to have like a URL, which is your unique resource locator. could be another file server, it could be AWS storage, right? So it could be anywhere, right? It could be some other website that has the image, right? Let's say you're creating a really smart e-commerce website where automatically the minute you have iPhone 12, so all iPhone 12 images that are there on Apple, somehow you scrape that and put that here. So all the URLs, all the image URLs from Apple website need to be here, right? So URL is just your unique resource locator, and that is where the file is. And that file could be locally and could be remote. If you're keeping it locally, then you need to think when you're doing the physical, like now you're thinking deeper, right? We said we'll start generic and go all the way to the physical. So if there is product and images and you're going to keep your own images and have that repository set up, then you need to think, okay, physically, is it going to be a separate file server? Is it going to be on the same application server? If it's on the same application server, how am I going to, scale it? So it makes sense to be on a file server. Okay, in the file server, how is my directory structure going to look like? Will I have a folder called product? And within that, every product based on the product ID, based on the product ID, I create a folder again. And within that, I have the file. Every file has to have a different unique name, all of that, right? And then if I'm gonna the same image, let's say the iPhone, let's say I'm making the website and on the product listing page, I need a small image to show the product, and but on the inside description page, I need a bigger image. But then when he clicks on it and I zoom, I need a third bigger image, right? So I might just save three different versions of the same image based on size, so that so I do all that image processing and keep it so just it's faster for me to load, right? So these are the things that you want to be thinking about as well. Okay. So if you're going to do that, how is that going to be structured? Is there going to be a folder name with different sizes and then the image goes in that, or the image URL name is going to be in a way that I can identify what size is going to be there of the image, right? Make sense? Did you guys understand what I just spoke about? How the different things, and this is not for product image as well. You could say, okay, company, we can upload a company logo, right? Customer, we can say, okay, field company logo. So now company logo will also be an image and would ideally be, say, you wouldn't save the raw image in the database. You would do the same thing. You'll keep URL and then you could have other fields to describe it and things like that, right? And it's not only about images, it could be other files as well. Say it's a job website that you're making, right? So person could upload his resume, which could be a PDF, and then you want to be, then you might want to be able to do things where you are able to read the PDF and give it to him in an editable format, and whatever, right? So it's not only the database, it's also now physically other things that are going to be saved in a file where it's going to be saved and things like that. Those are the things that you need to think about as well. Okay. And all of this will obviously happen based on your user flow, your information architecture, what are the use cases that you want to cater to, right? I just used a very simple example. Uh, let's try to change things around. Let's say uh, I'm creating, I want a way in which, because this is B2B, okay, because this is a B2B application that we're building of e-commerce, I want to be able to say that, okay, I have, for every customer, I have like a contract with them, okay, or I might not have a contract with them. If I have a contract with them, I give them my products at a different price, okay. So what that means is, let's say I'm a company and I have a contract with Tata. And I manufacture tires. Okay, and Tata Motors is a customer. Maruti is a customer, Hyundai is a customer, all these people are customers, right? And I want to be able to give prices, give them different prices, right? I have a contract with Tata. So if Tata ka buyer comes in, logs into my system and sees the pricing, he sees a tire for 2000 rupees. But if Hyundai comes in, because Hyundai gives me more business, I've given them a discount and I want them to see a price of 1800, right? If I wanted to do this, right, then what will I have to do? How will my product information table change? How are my relations changing? These are the things that you want to be thinking about. So you have to think about it from your project's perspective, obviously, use case basis. Okay. So what would you do in this case, this example? Obviously, then price cannot be here, right? You will have to create like how we create, and this relation is what? Is it a one? So there is a relation now between product and customer also. So this, so when I look at this here, now there's going to be, because of this new requirement, right? Suddenly there is a link between product and customer, because different pricing for different products for different customers. So now a customer has a different data about the product. So because of the contract that they have, right? Tata is getting a different price, Hyundai is getting a different price, Maruti is getting a different price. So now products and customers are linked, and that linkage is on price. So is this relation what? Is it one to one, one to many? One customer is obviously can have different pricing for multiple products, and one product can be priced differently for multiple customers. So now this is a many to many relation again, right? And because it's a many to many relation, what are we going to do? We're going to again think of breaking it down, splitting it down so that we don't lose data integrity and we split it into a one to many relation. We do it the same way we did order and products, right? Clear? Any doubts? Okay. And there are no doubts, no one has any questions, right? We're done. Anything else you guys want to ask me? I'll wait for like 2-3 minutes. Otherwise, you can drop out.
Students, if any doubt, please ask, or we can close the session. I think we are done, sir. We can, no problem. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Harshal is having one question, I guess. Harshal,
Okay.
please go ahead. You can unmute and ask, no issues. Yeah, unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Whoever the question is posted, say you have a question on the chat, and then I'll one by one. Okay. So Harshal, just type your question out quickly, and then Pratik, you're next. That's fine. No issues. Yes, you can do that. It really depends on why you're doing it, right? The problem you're gonna have is getting the linkages in, and then you need to write extra code to ensure data integrity, right? Obviously, because there is going to be certain information in the SQL, and there is going to be certain data in the NoSQL. Uh, for example, uh, one place where let's look at the same e-commerce example. One place where it's used, right? In e-commerce specifically is product information. Okay. Uh, Details about the product is kept because you details when I'm saying like the entire nested details, like reviews about the product, comments, other products related to this product. That entire chain, that entire page that you see on Amazon when you are looking at a particular product is has a lot of information, right? And you want to be pulling all that information together, or when the person's on that page and is browsing through that page, you want to pull it together, and all of that is related, you want to keep it together, right? And uh, having that data in a NoSQL DB as a document uh, makes more sense than having it in a DB, right? However, there has to the there has to be the ID of the product still needs to be there in the SQL DB. Otherwise, you will not be able to link orders to IDs to products, right? So your SQL DB will still have a product table which just has IDs in there, maybe, and maybe some other information, right? Like quantity and maybe inventory. If that is there, then you have a something and all of that, because you want to be because orders and transactions is very SQL, like that has to be SQL based, right? It's more efficient if you do that in SQL, but product information and all of that can be in a NoSQL, but you still need to maintain the fact that the ID used for a product in the SQL maps to the ID used in the NoSQL. If that mapping is there, then you can write, and if you write code to ensure that happens, every time a new product is added, a new product document is created in the NoSQL, a product ID is created in the SQL, the ID that is created in the SQL is saved in the product document in NoSQL, and then you are linked. Okay. So there's just a little more effort from a design perspective and implementation perspective. You don't create, it's not, there's no tables in NoSQL, right? There is documents in NoSQL, but there has to be a linkage has to be created, right? And that linkage has to be done then by the software that is going to link them, right? Okay. Pratik, your question?
Yeah, good morning, sir. Sir, I wanted to ask while uploading our issue in the Bitbucket, we have to upload just diagram or everything like table, all the right written part and all.
You can
Our,
either do, see, this is, see, the way I go about it, okay, I uh, just because of the experience I have in I've just tried to, you know, very verbosely describe to you every thought that comes into my mind. Okay,
hmm,
I never make this detailed a document when I'm doing a project. Okay, uh, when I do a project, I end up creating the tables directly in an Excel sheet. Okay,
okay.
I in an Excel sheet, I'll create either a worksheet per table, or within one worksheet, I'll just put the table name, put in the fields, put in the table name, put in the fields. Okay. I don't make an ER diagram or something like that. And if you want to just create an Excel sheet with all your table names and the fields in the table with this information, give what is the constraint and data type, right?
Hmm.
Uh, that's also fine.
Okay, fine, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, if you're but this is like this table, if you're making an ER diagram, at least not like your concept, like you guys are uploading conceptual ER diagram where it's like, okay, has this you're doing something like this, right?
Hmm.
But uh, थोड़ा इसके साथ इफ यू कैन से कि ओके कस्टमर के अंदर कौन कौन से फील्ड्स होंगे, यूजर के अंदर क्या है, रिलेशनशिप टाइप क्या है, एंड हियर आई हैवंट ब्रोकन डाउन प्रोडक्ट्स एंड ऑर्डर, आई हैवंट ब्रोकन डाउन कस्टमर एंड प्रोडक्ट्स, राइट?
Yes,
And
yes.
added that many to many. Ideally, I want to see the final physical implementation में the tables that are going to be there, that in this diagram is also fine, in this diagram format where the relations are mentioned, and then within, and then you can have a separate thing with the fields within it. That's also fine.
Okay, like breaking down everything in the diagram itself. You are telling that, right?
Yeah, you can do it. Now you can customer. I can put like a title here, saying one many. I could do. So I'll just quickly say I went here. I say okay. I can type. I can type here, and why is this not happening? Ah, okay. I figured out what happened, but okay. I can go here and then say this is one, right? This relation is from here, it is one. Okay, and then I can say, okay, I'm going to control C, control V. This is a torture. To get the picture, right? I can say this is
Yes, sir. Yes,
10.
sir. Got it.
Okay, and I can
Uh,
drag it there, put it here next to order, and then this information I could just create a small box next to customer, or below customer I could just write the fields, right?
hmm.
So that also is fine.
Okay, so it can be like a good diagram or a table, descriptive table, like with everything, right?
Right,
Okay,
right.
okay. Fine, sir. Thank you.
Yes, making a PPT similar to this would work, but I'm not. You can keep. Then I just want to see these tables, or you know one slide per table. That is fine, right?
Hmm.
That also works.
Okay.
Right.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, yeah, you order.
Sir, as in image table, for videos also we will be doing the same things and keeping the same
Mm,
details for videos
videos are a
also.
little more tricky. Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, it'll be the same thing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Uh, Videos में I don't think you'll be saving videos locally. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And if you're doing, if I don't know what your project is. If it's creating something like YouTube or something like that, then you're going to be saving images locally, right? But in some file server format, and then the detailing of that is also required. Ki, acha, if I'm going to keep it on which server, is it going to be distributed? How I'm going to like, because videos are going to be under a user, could be categorized. There is a lot of complexity there, right? It depends on what you're building. You're going to be
Yes, sir.
thinking all of that.
Uh, Artist-based platform is our project. Uh,
Right, so then every artist will have an image, will have videos and things like that. I
yes,
would
sir.
not even keep it in, I wouldn't even store it locally. What I would do is look at, because at the end of the day, you don't care about images, storing the videos locally. You can upload the video directly to YouTube from your application, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, yeah.
And then take the YouTube embed link and embed the image embed the video within your application, right?
Okay, sir.
And because the embed link has a particular format, how to do the upload is also fine. You could also use Agoro, what is it, agoro.io, right? And save the videos there and take it from there. I don't know if Agoro supports videos, might
Okay,
be.
sir.
But there are, so AWS has a platform for has a service for uploading videos and then do the streaming from there. So you don't need to, I wouldn't solve the storage part of it for your this thing. Yes, URL you will keep of where it is stored,
Yeah.
whether it's stored on AWS platform or YouTube or whatever. But I would directly upload it to YouTube or the AWS video streaming platform or something like Agoro or something like that, and then take it from there.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah, fine.
Anyone else?
Sir,
Yeah.
so what is the difference between data model and ER diagram?
So, ER diagram is a subset of the modeling, right? You're doing the modeling, hence you create the ER diagram, right? I'm just expecting a little bit more. Like when we said this, we did the DB design in a lot of that, but then there was this image thing that had to be saved, right? So I would expect you to also tell me if where you're going to save this image, right? What is the folder structure for that going to be? So that's not part of your ER diagram, right? Generally, you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Uh, And ER diagram also has different layers to it, right? It could be a very conceptual ER diagram with just table name and relations linked to each other, right? Or it
Yes.
could be a little more detailed, right? So
Yes.
I'm looking at the entire detailing form. If you the like how I went through the entire thought process, if you wanted to document so much, you could. Okay. I only care about the last part, the final physical thing, right? But you could go from doing it the way I did it here, right? Okay, this is the example, we're building e-commerce, customer information, all of this, the way I did it. The reason I did all of this was just to try to give you an insight of how you should be thinking about it, right?
Yes, sir.
From a practical example. But effectively, what are you doing? You're saying, okay, what all data I want to collect? Uh, from that data that I want to collect, what are what are the bigger things? What is like if I'm saying I'm going to collect information about customer, then obviously customer becomes an entity, right? Or a table. If I'm saying I want to collect information about products, then obviously product price cannot become a table because price is an attribute within the product and things like that, right? So the higher, the more generic space, the higher level conceptual phase where you'll identify the tables. Then within that table, what is the data? How are the link? And then you keep reiterating for every use case that you have. Correct? So you look at the use case, okay, uh, let's say in your application, like I said, later on this requirement came, okay, customer, I can make contracts with customer, and because of those contracts with customer, I'll have pricing differences, right? So I went back and changed it, right? I could then say, no, I can have two types of customers. I can have a retail customer and a corporate customer. Okay. Then how is this going to change? So every time you look at a requirement, you'll have to look at how are things in your data modeling going to change, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you do this iteration and then you complete it. Fine?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sir, so while uploading the task on Bitbucket, we can upload the detailed ER diagram, right?
Yes, you can upload detailed ER diagram.
Okay, sir.
Array, see, fundamentally, if I give you this PPT only from, let's say if I give you from slide 11 to slide 16, okay,
Yeah.
will you be able, this is what is the reason for us to tell you कि ye upload karo. You need to think about it. It is for your documentation happening and you are clear with your system's design, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, when if I give you 11 to 16, okay, these pages, and tell you this is how my database is going to be, okay.
Okay,
Do I
sir.
need to give you a diagram along with it? You get the picture, no? सब कुछ समझ में आ रहा है. So why
Yes,
do I
sir.
need to give you a diagram along with it? It doesn't make sense. I'm just wasting your time, right? So choose, give me something looking at which it could be one image, it could be multiple images, it could be one document, with every one page per table, right? Don't give
Right,
it
sir.
verbose in the sense कि मेरे को story पढ़ना पड़े. It could be this
Okay.
table also. राइट. ये टेबल
Right,
देख के मेरे को समझ में आ रहा है कि अच्छा ठीक है, कस्टमर इन्फॉर्मेशन ये रख रहे हो, अच्छा ठीक है, नेक्स्ट टेबल कौन सा है, नेक्स्ट टेबल कौन सा है,
right, sir.
एंड आई कैन फिगर आउट कि थिंग्स आर मेकिंग सेंस और नॉट, एंड यू विल आल्सो बी एबल टू फिगर आउट थिंग्स आर मेकिंग सेंस और नॉट. If you look at every use case that you have or every feature that you defined in your IAA, right? You see how the tasks are linked also, because every feature you define in your IA and the user flow that you defined in your user flow, if those are getting solved using this DB, then you're done, no?
Right, sir.
Okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Huh.
Sir, I have one more doubt.
Yeah.
Uh, Images will be stored in a file as a file, and the database will save the path of this file. So how can we represent this scenario in ER diagram?
तुम्हारा फील्ड यार डायग्राम में तो इमेज इज गोइंग टू बी सेव्ड इन द फाइल तो नहीं आएगा, राइट? Image में you are going to keep image and the URL is going to be an attribute to it. Correct?
Yes,
Obviously I'm seeing the file data तो है नहीं attribute. URL है तो मेरे को समझ में आ रहा है कि वो file is going to be saved somewhere else actually physically.
yes,
Okay. If you and then you will need to create another directory structure or architecture for how you're going to save the images. Where it is going to be saved? Is it going to be saved on a distributed file system? Is it going to be saved on the same application server? See, your your applications, your system is going to be how? Let's say it's a web application. There is going to be, or let's say it's a mobile app. There is mobile phone, which is your client. Then you have a REST server, or your server side backend, and then that server side backend is managing resources, right? And one of the resources is a file server then,
okay,
correct? Where
yes,
the images are going to be there, and one resource is going to be database. So data is going, the database is going to have the URL to the files on the file server where it is, and
yes,
then within the file server you will have to say कि, okay, this is the directory structure that is going to be followed. Okay, there will be a folder per product. So if I have 10 products in my system, there will be 10 folders: product 1, product 2, product 3, product 4. A product 1 for every product I know I have to save three images. One of the size 30 by 40, one size 200 by 300, one size 1000 by 600. Why? Because my views are like that. कि छोटा इमेज मतलब थंबनेल दिखता है लिस्टिंग पेज पे, उसको क्लिक करते हैं तो थोड़ा बड़ा है, इन द प्रोडक्ट डिटेल पेज देयर इज अ स्लाइटली बिगर इमेज, एंड व्हेन आई क्लिक ऑन दैट आई नीड टू शो a zoomed up view, right? So I'm going to keep these three. Obviously then depending on the size of my screen and all of that, resizing and all is possible, but my quality doesn't get affected of the image. Hence I'm going to, and my caching करके रखा है तो मैंने, I'll be able to give the image quickly. Don't need to do this. I'm just saying these are possibilities that can be done, right?
yes,
You can just keep one image, वही image को थोड़ा resize करके दिखा दिया live, and obviously performance hit आएगा, right? वैसे करके, rather than same image वो already cache करके मैंने अलग-अलग sizes में रखा है. So this, whether you're going to do this, not do this, structure, folder, this can be shown separately,
yes,
and documented separately. Here there is only product information. Let's say customer profile में भी एक image है, right? हर यूजर अपना एक प्रोफाइल इमेज डाल सकता है, हर कस्टमर अपना कंपनी का लोगो डाल सकता है। तो अब कंपनीज के लिए एक अलग फोल्डर होना चाहिए, प्रोडक्ट्स के लिए अलग फोल्डर होना चाहिए, यूजर के प्रोफाइल पिक्चर्स के लिए अलग फोल्डर होना चाहिए, राइट।
Yes.
नाउ प्रोडक्ट के लिए मैंने आई कैन से कि वो सिर्फ इमेज नहीं हो सकता है वीडियो रिव्यू भी हो, Amazon तो वीडियोस भी दिखाता है, राइट। तो व्हाई नॉट हैव वीडियोस आल्सो। So there are multiple things. हर वीडियो के साथ there could be a thumbnail also associated. So many different combinations where data is not only saved in the database, right? So database का से ER diagram आएगा. Database का डिजाइन कवर हो गया ER diagram से. So the task is the overall data modeling, no? So yes, majority of the data is going to be in a database, but other data is also going to be there, no, which is not going to be saved in the database. How is that structured? That also needs to be thought about, no? And the entire combined thing for the application is called data modeling.
Okay,
समझ
sir.
में आया? अगर डेस्कटॉप एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हो, डेटा मॉडलिंग अप्लाइज टू डेस्कटॉप एप्लीकेशन ऑल्सो ना। डेस्कटॉप एप्लीकेशन बना रहे हो तो मे बी लेट्स से व्हाट्सएप ही बना रहे हो, राइट। देयर इज सर्टेन डेटा दैट यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली, तुम्हारा इमेज आता है तो वो डाउनलोड होके इमेजेस में जाके सेव हो जाता है, कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स में जाके सेव हो जाता है। व्हाट्सएप डज ऑल दिस मैनेजमेंट, नो। सो व्हाट्सएप के पर्सपेक्टिव से डेटा मॉडलिंग देख रहे हो तो वो तो लोकल स्टोरेज पे भी काम कर रहा है और डेटा को डेटा से सर्वर पे भी भेज रहा है, करेक्ट। समझ
Yes.
में आया?
Yes.
हाँ। So you have to think about all perspectives, where you're going to save data, how it is going to be there. The idea of doing it is so that performance अच्छा हो, like you want to model data and design it with certain goals in mind, no? The goals are data integrity हो, right? Backup मिले मेरे को अगर चाहिए तो, you know, अगर कुछ corrupt हुआ I can retrieve. What are your goals? You could choose कि हाँ डेटा इंटीग्रिटी इंपॉर्टेंट, परफॉर्मेंस इंपॉर्टेंट है। सो लाइक आई सेड परफॉर्मेंस इंपॉर्टेंट है एंड आई एम विलिंग टू कॉम्प्रोमाइज ऑन डेटा इंटीग्रिटी। सो देन आई सेड इन द ऑर्डर टेबल यू कैन ऐड कस्टमर आईडी आल्सो, नो यार, कर लो, कोई इशू नहीं है। यू इम्प्रूविंग परफॉर्मेंस बट डिक्रीजिंग, you're making your design susceptible to data integrity issues, correct? Fine. Anything
Yes, sir.
else?
I think, sir, his question has been answered. Anyone else? Anyone else has any question?
Okay, then let's wrap up.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you so
Okay.
much, sir. Yeah.
No, good day.
Thank you, students. Yeah. Bye.